Make it beautiful, make it beautiful. Age of new beginnings. Make it beautiful.
That's what we do here.
Make it beautiful. Make it beautiful.
Everybody, welcome to 22 Days of Transformation. We are down to the countdown. This is just before the last day, and we have a really cool special friend of ours. So me and Carla are incredibly excited to introduce you to somebody wonderful. But before we introduce you to this beautiful essence of light, Carla, would you like to start off with doing an energetic prayer, and I'll do the ending?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We welcome Rob Scarpa. Kelly's on with us. We have a lot of great people on today, but if everybody would just take a moment to inhale love and exhale love. Inhale peace and exhale peace. We now call upon the angels of the four directions to come now and be present. I call upon my higher self, Rob's higher self, Ellen's higher self, and all who's present, your higher self, to come forward and be present with us at this time. I call upon the Holy Spirit, Saint Germain, and the violet flame to be present. I call upon the ascended masters that wish to come forward at this time to be present. I thank you for your love, your patience with us in humanity. I thank you. Please forgive us for any harms that we have done knowingly or unknowingly to you, Mother Earth. But thank you for your love, your unconditional love, and your patience with us as we grow into our ascension now and forever.
Wow, that was a beautiful opening prayer. And Elle with the age of new beginning. Carla did the most beautiful prayer, and we're going to introduce Rob Scarpa. Now, Rob Scarpa, a number of years back, I was doing a beautiful program with this gentleman who loved the violet flame. He was an exquisite teacher of the violet flame. And at my place at the Beach Club Estate, for over 2 years, we did a program there every Tuesday. And today just happens to be Tuesday, which is very exciting. And then this gentleman walks in, and he was just a big ball of energy, like, And I remember when he first came in, he wasn't sure about a lot of things, but he was determined. He was determined to see what's, how can I say it? To get into the alignment of what was real for him, what was right for him. And that was like the beginning of his journey. Unless maybe, Rob, you know what? I'm going to let you share. But to know Rob now, from where he was when I first met him to where he is now, he is the most exquisite, purest, lovely channel of the light that I am so honored to know from then to now, and all the different lifetimes that we co-connected. Because it's funny, ever since I knew him, I felt like I knew him forever and ever. My brother, my friend in spirituality, I adore you, Rob.
I'll go back to last 4th of July. Last 4th of July, I got up early in the morning. I went to the gas station to, get ice and things, prepare for a 4th of July party. And because I'm big on history, I had been reading up on the American Revolution, and the how much our Long Island and New York, Brooklyn, the whole bit contributed to us becoming a nation. And I live in Huntington, and I'm right by Hale site. Now, Hale site is a part of Huntington named after Nathan Hale. Nathan Hale was our very first casualty of war. He was our first spy to be killed, and he sailed from Huntington to go meet some people in Connecticut and get messages to George Washington. And there's very little about Nathan Hale that's available. And I read as much as I could about it, and then there's a lot of other synchronicities and other people here in New York and Long Island that were part of the whole story, but for some reason Nathan Hale just stood out in my mind. And like I said, I did some research, and it was very little. And they never found his remains. his trunk with his belongings were brought back to Connecticut, and whatever happened to them 250 years ago, is questionable. I went to the gas station right by Hale site, where there's a big rock with a plaque on it that says Nathan Hale, and tells his brief story. I was in there checking the lottery tickets like 7:30 in the morning, and I'm checking them, and the guy says, "Are you a winner?" And I'm like, "I am a winner. I am a winner." And I had all his tickets, and I'm putting it out there that I'm a winner. You know what I mean? And he's checking them. He's, "Let me double check." And I didn't hear any of the bells go off, but he wanted to check them for me. And as he was checking them, it was just him and I in the station. He's a Turkish guy, so he's not too big on American history. I don't believe he is, And out of nowhere, I just heard me say, "Nathan Hale lives again." And I looked, what? That didn't come. And then he looked at me and I said, "You wouldn't understand," because I didn't even understand why that message came in. It was like disturbing, to say the least. I'm like, yeah, I'm really losing it now. Give me 1 second and I'll find it. Excuse me. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this story, but it's here. I just have to find the right date.
But that's something that you do regularly. Something every day or very frequently, you write down what comes to you. You write down different things, and there's a book coming soon.
Oh, there's quite a few books that are going to come from all of this. It's the hardest part is, well, not hardest part, the biggest part is trying to separate them into which goes into which, because there's so much overlap because of oneness, of spirituality, of the technologies, of the miracles, of the violet. Every day a different energy comes to me, almost. Oh, here we go. That's why I was on the wrong page. I apologize. Too far in. Here we go. Okay. So again, like I said, I was thinking about Nathan Hale leading up to the 4th of July. So the day after the 4th of July, I had to go to work. So I had to get up early and and I'm still wondering why I said what I said. And the story of Nathan Hale goes that he set sail from Long Island. He was captured and hung that day, and his remains were never found. They never knew what happened to Nathan Hale. The British disposed of his body. And I said, boy, that's odd, And this message just came in out of nowhere, and it said, "When I set sail, you were there. I left for the mission with no conditions. You learn of my history as if you don't recall. The day had come, I made the call. Off I went to my demise. With one last breath, I closed my eyes. It was not quick, like some surmise. They broke my bones to my surprise. The sacrifice made to help the cause, to stop the king and his painful laws. To do again would surely be the thing I would like to see. It was the end for me that day, and now I'm back to say it's okay. We won the war for which I pledged allegiance to a country new. The work's not done. I say to thee, a brother of mine you surely be. Independence won, sacrifices made. A new world was cast from that declaration. One that endures to this day. Continue the work that we pledged to do. I'm with you. Take some time to look within. That's where you'll find my happy grin. When you'll do, you'll know it's true. I pledged allegiance to the red, white, and blue. Thank you, Rob. You are my friend. I look forward to the day we meet again. Sail on, Nathan Hale. Now, that floored me, blew me away. Never did I see myself as a person here to know him, but in understanding oneness and fractalization, I could have been anybody at that time who knew him. But it's just that I was thinking about him and connecting to him, and it got a bead on his energy. I got his barcode, and I was able to connect with him. And it's not limited to him. It's whoever you want to think about. You focus on them, and they're going to come knocking on your door. You know the rule, right?
Yes.
They're not allowed to speak to you unless you speak to them first. So ask, inquire, and they're all beating down the door to talk to you.
Now, I believe your son wanted you to talk about your grandma, I guess his grandma,
Okay.
and something about you being the sunshine.
Oh, well, my mom has had dementia for 14 years. It was much worse, and now she's kind of come back and a lot more coherence. She sings her answers. When you ask her a question, she didn't used to speak at all. Now, when she responds to you, she sings very quietly. And she sings the answer to the question to the cadence of, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." And I never understood that, what the significance was, until I asked one of my sisters. And they told me that was my father used to sing that song to my mother all the time. And then it made all the sense in the world. I can communicate with my mom when I see her. She recognizes my energy, I believe, more than anything else. Where some of my brothers and sisters who see her a lot more than I do, there seems to be that disconnect. But I don't think it's from my mother. I think it's my brothers and sisters just not grasping the new way to communicate. There is a new way to communicate. It's silent communication. Sit and hold the person's hand, and the energy transfer is there, just like plugging in a cable on a computer.
It's as if she's also in two different realms.
Oh yeah. She's not here, but she's not there.
Right.
That's one of the things that started me on the journey. I accidentally went into not accidentally, one of my sisters took me to go see a medium, and we were late to get there. And I sat in the corner as far away as I could from the medium, and hiding behind a guy in front of me. And when she was done with her introduction and she started to talk, and she said, "You in the blue shirt." I was hiding, like, no, you behind it. And then all of a sudden, all this information came, and I was like, wow, how does this lady know any of this, Right. And then my mother, and she saw my father and recognized my mom and said, "Well, is she here or there?" And I knew what she was talking about. And that was one of the things that was the impetus to me continuing to search out and meet you and Norbert and everyone else that's been on this journey. I can't forget to mention Lynn. I know she's watching today.
He's fabulous too.
And Wendy Gale and Whitney and Sarah Curley, and it goes on and on. Joe Darrow, so many of these people. David Young.
You have an amazing connection with David Young as well.
Yes. David. Him and I, like old friends. When you introduced me to David, it was like one of those people that you knew forever. You felt like, you spent lifetimes next to this person. So, it's just more validation of how we're all connected. We keep going around. We make these deals. I'm going to see you at some point in the next life. You're going to see me in the next life, and hopefully it works out. And if it doesn't mean anything. You can't fail at this game. No. You can't fail, because like Norbert always says, we're a soul with a body, not a body with a soul. So this is just the meat suit. It's, and when it's no longer connected to two, it's a pile of organic meat on the ground and a ghost over here. I mean, that's what it is. They're just two separate things that just meld together for this set amount of time. And
now I also think that once upon a time in the very beginning, we did a healing together at my spa. And I think that's when you started realizing a little bit more about lifetimes, other lifetimes.
Oh yeah.
Does that resonate with you?
Yes. This the Akash, the Akashic record. I know it exists. I respect it. I understand it. And you, as well as many of my other teachers, encouraged me to go into the Akash. And I have a whole journal just for it, but there's very little in it because I don't know. I don't think it's fear, but when I go into the Akash, I don't want to be aligned with any specific belief system for me. I want to be able to always stay neutral and take all the energies from other places. I'm not diminishing in any way, but everybody has a tool that works for them. I have gone into it. I've done, and the questions that I've asked, the answers come back and they'll blow you away. And they're specific to you. It's very easy to do. But it's always best with any of these techniques or modalities that we use, it's always best to have the file cabinet emptied and clear and nothing in the way to distort the messages, because we're only trying to pull the highest and best from every experience. We don't want to wallow in what happened to me in this lifetime and was I burned at the stake, and
No, I believe, which I've always said, that each lifetime we keep coming until we get it right. So
Mhm.
it's not the point of wallowing what was, but it's showing us that we're reliving it until we move past it. It's
Yes,
like
yeah.
that. So it's not a negative. It's
Oh,
just
not at all. No, I'm not
yeah,
saying
yeah,
at all, but it's a tool. It's
yeah.
a tool like anything else. It's in the toolbox, but everybody picks up different tools. Some people use the pendulum, so everybody uses something different to get their information. They stare in the water bowl. I mean, there's all different things.
Well,
And
that's why it was created the Age of New Beginnings, which was showing all the different types of
oh, absolutely.
modalities. That when you think you've seen everything, somebody will show you something totally like, get out of here, really?
And
Crazy,
that
wonderful.
human vibration that we're in, we're such a low vibrationary being at this point. In order to become solid matter, they have to really turn down the system, turn the engine down, take the efficiency out of it. It's got to run like crap in order for us to be human. The higher the efficiency, the more angelic you are, the more you can float and go through walls, but we choose to be here. We choose to have the experience of the physical world.
Right.
And again, there's no failing at it. There's no judgment on the other side. You don't get there and you don't have a chalkboard, checklist and say, oh, geez, you did this wrong. No, none of that exists. That's all man-made rules, man-made thoughts that are put in place to try and control everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be in control. That's what, well, not everybody, but a lot of people.
Well, that's Christianity and certain religions.
Oh, sure.
That you should live in guilt and you should live in a certain way, or all these different wars where we have all those energetic cords of fear, and so in this reality, it's overcoming that. It's becoming more empowered. It's letting go of those old perspectives to see things where this is a new beginning, an exciting time, and I cleanse and clear all that no longer serves me. Now, Lynn wanted you to talk about Pauldings. The Pauldings, does that ring a bell to you?
Well, that's she's referring to John Paulding, who's the beginning of this. John Paulding is a figure from our revolutionary past. He was one of the people that helped to capture Major John Andre. John Andre was Benedict Arnold's cohort. Benedict Arnold is the famous, traitor to the cause. And John Paulding arrested John Andre with the plans to West Point in his boot up in Hyde Park, New York. I own, my wife and I, a house here in Huntington. It was an old farm. It was part of the Paulding family farm. John Paulding's son, Admiral Hiram, he lived here in Huntington. His son Hiram, they had a farm. They had a cider mill. It's no longer function, but it's still here. And it just happened that we bought this place. I didn't know any of the history of it. Had no idea of the history of it. But at the time, I was maintaining the museums in Oyster Bay, where Major Andre was holed up during the Revolution until he got arrested. So the coincidence, the similarities there. I met Lynn, and she introduced me to a young lady named Rosemary Angeles. And Rosemary's from Stony Brook. And we were talking one day, and she started to talk about John Andre. And I looked at her, and she says, "Yeah, this guy, he comes to me. I've got all these messages from him." And I'm like, what an obscure individual to get messages from. But then it just expanded from there. There's no such thing as coincidence. Obviously, we all had a lifetime of go around, So Andre knew Nathan Hale, John Paulding, George Washington, just the whole cast of characters. And I'm maintaining the buildings that they resided in 300, 250, 60 years ago, and then the Pauldings have come to me. I've gotten messages from them that talk about the property, that talk about the house, that talk about the history here. And again, you can say that you were that person, or you can say that you're a piece of that person. So to me, I resonate as being a fractal of them. You know what I'm saying? A piece of that energy, just like, and that's probably where the Nathan Hale thing came in, because like he said, he knew me, and they all lived here in Huntington back in the 1700s. So it all makes sense. You know what I mean? It all makes sense. And again, when the book comes out, I'm able to do that American history with all of the spiritual flair. That's going to be a good one. It's going to, hopefully I'll be able to answer a lot of questions that people have not been able to answer so far, with the standard record keeping that we've got.
But the whole spiritual journey that you've gone through has created happiness, more happiness in your life, more happiness in the family, more happiness in your health. You found, in a sense, a deeper sense of yourself and a deeper connection with the people around you.
Oh yeah, it comes naturally. It just comes naturally. Once you start to clear the cookies, I've used that term a lot. When you start to transmute all those things that don't serve you, it's like clearing out the cookies in your computer. And the computer doesn't run good when there's all this junk in it. So you clean out all that stuff, and then the efficiency goes way up. And when you have a greater efficiency, you can take in a greater bandwidth, greater pieces of information. And as we enter this new time, right, we're entering the age of Aquarius. We're leaving the Piscean era where Yeshua, Jesus, was the representative, the emissary to help us understand the Piscean era and let us know what's coming in the age of Aquarius. So that's where Saint Germain steps in, and Jesus is like handing the baton and say, okay, it's all you now, and Saint Germain recognized about 150 years ago, from what I've heard and understood and channeled, that humanity was still not going in the right direction. It was really tough, really thick. So he introduced that violet technology. And by bringing in that violet, it assured our success. So we did not destroy ourselves. The Nostradamus prophecies didn't come true. The Fatima prophecies didn't come true. Gacy didn't come true because the collective consciousness.
Yes. I'm loving what you're saying.
Has brought us to this point. And now, like I said, we're at this juncture. It's left or right now. There's separation of, am I going to go into the golden age, or am I going to continue and wallow in this control and sickness and disease and disinformation that's put out there? That's like in a nutshell, a big nutshell.
Yes.
Rob, I have 2 questions for you. They're coming from Facebook. One is by Joanne. She says, what do you think about the virus? Do you feel if we continue to raise our energy, the virus will weaken? I would like to hear what you have to say about this, since there are so many different views.
Yes, raising our vibration creates a greater immunity. When you no longer resonate with the frequency of a lower energy, it cannot penetrate you. It's like the old radio. The higher you go up on the dial, the higher the bandwidth. So you can't pick up the stations on the bottom. There's no way you can pick them up because you're up here. You're at the top of the scale. What we're coming to in this transition point is like, that's going to be all AM. All the negative stuff, just as is AM frequency. We're in FM. We won't even be able to tap into what's going on over there. You know what I mean? So yes, raising the vibration, staying positive is going to create the immunity within you. If what you fear, you bring near. And since we know that fear shuts off the immune system, you go into a fight or flight response. And when you're in fight or flight, your body doesn't care what diseases are out there. It's trying to save you now. But the disease is a long-term thing. So keep the vibration up. Don't live in the fear, and you're not susceptible to it. That's what I believe.
I agree. I really agree with that 110%. And the next thing is, this is from Francine, and she says, what do your guides tell you about Donald Trump? Just curious, because there's such a divide.
See, that's a tough question. Well, it's not a tough question for me, but it's a question that, I'll proudly answer. I mean, you don't hear of too many spiritual people involved in politics, but I've been involved in politics my whole life. Well, not my whole life, my whole career, let's say. And I actually worked on the Trump campaign, and I worked in Trump Tower. And when it was all over and the inauguration day came, I turned to my wife and I said, we're done. No more news, no more. And we turned it all off. And that was a little more than 3 years ago. And I believe that whether it's him or someone else, we were coming to this juncture. I believe, in my opinion, that he's very well suited to get us through this. it's my opinion. It's only my opinion. He's a catalyst. He's a 3. Numerologically, he's a 3. And a catalyst stays the same and causes everyone else to react and change. And that's what's happening. I pray the best for, no matter who the leader is, we want the best for our country, for our world. So, you know, I can't say what either way, you know, I can't tell you what to believe, but to me, he's a catalyst. We needed someone like this to break the eggs, drain the swamp, do all the things, bring everything up to light so we can see what's going on. I talked to David Young, we talk about it, and we can't talk about it. He's on this side and I'm on, you know, he's on the left and I'm on the right with it. I'm like, Dave, we got to just agree to disagree and not talk politics anymore. And that's always the best thing in spirituality, is stay out of politics. That's where I have to leave that. Just pray for everyone involved in this. Everyone. It's oneness. We're all in this together. We're all in this together. We sink or, you know, or swim together.
Vince wanted to know what Spirit has told you about him. I guess about
I have not delved into it. I really, to be honest with you, I've discussed it with other channels. I've listened to their information. My own personal experience, you know, I was there. I was committed to it. So that's enough for me. That's enough. And I leave it at that. I don't want to put any energy into anything. I want to, you know, there's 3 points to this Trinity. There's light, there's dark, and there's neutrality, right? We ask to bring in more light, we bring in dark with it. They have to come in together. It's always a balance. So the third option is neutrality. So now I ask for neutrality in everything. I ask for neutrality, and we want the water to settle. We want the waves to settle. We want to see what's at the bottom, salvage what we can, rebuild and move on, because that's where we're at. We're at this tipping point. The whole world is at a tipping point. And it's up to each one of us to pull ourselves through. Everybody's planting gardens because they know they can't rely on the supermarket. You know, so start relying on your own insight.
So spirituality has shifted your life, and you suggest that others also start putting more energy onto that journey to become more in tune to their own divinity, to becoming more in control of their life, and to, how can I say it? To see how you can steer it, because nobody's a victim to anything. And when you get more into spirituality, you start to own that fact.
Absolutely. Everybody, they've been searching for that Holy Grail for 2,000 years, right? 4,000, 5,000 years. You're never going to find it because it's inside of every one of us. The Holy Grail is right here. All the answers are inside. There's no magic pill. There's no magic box. Recognize your divinity. Recognize who you are. Own it. God means gift of divinity, right? And each one of us is a God. We're all divine beings of light, love, compassion, and grace. So the more we exercise that, the faster we get to the goal of that heaven on earth, that golden age. Really, it's all up to us. It's all up to us how fast we get there. I've gotten messages, you know, we're all on the bus. You can get off at any time, you can get back on, stop any way you want. But the bus only goes the same route, that one route, and it only goes to the one destination. You're all going to get there. It's up to you how fast. Stay on the bus, look within. Don't get lost in all the rabbit holes, the books. They're all interesting things. They all make sense. The emerald tablets, the gold tablets, whatever it is. You know, all that stuff is true at some level because they're metaphorical stories as to our history and our evolution. But again, they're just one person's take or one group's take or one religion's take. Stay neutral. Stay in that other point, that higher point.
It's your life.
Come join us.
Make it beautiful. Make it beautiful. Age of new beginnings. Make it beautiful.
Come on. That's what we do here.
Make it beautiful. Make it beautiful.
Come on.
Make it beautiful.
Come on. That's what we do here.
Make it beautiful. Make it beautiful.